Coming to you live from the Pensado Theater at the all-new SAE Los Angeles campus, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Studio 202 DC, Avid, and The Recording Connection.
Vocal producer meets composer. Our super talented guest is going to teach you a ton. You're going to enjoy this. We got cool contests coming your way. Brand new ITLs from Mr. P. You're at the place, baby. It's Pensado's Place.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. It's going to be kind of a fun day for me. I'm getting to hang out with an old buddy. Herbert, you've been, of course, okay. Every week.
Yeah, exactly. How are you, man?
Man, you know what? I'm blessed on every level.
Yeah.
Yeah, having you as a partner is the biggest blessing in my life. But
who is that? No, I'm just.
But man, you've been on fire lately.
We're busy. It's just managing the blessings. It's just been amazing, the blessings that they give us. But we have some stuff to share soon, don't we?
No.
Oh, okay. Yes. You didn't hear that from me. Shall we get to the homework?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Good day, everybody. It is great to be with you. As always, your likes and subscribes float our boat. We thank you so much. Our family, your family is also in the house. And of course, they are Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, Recording Connection, Studio 202 DC, and Avid, all doing their thing. This week and next week, lots of folks gathering at AES in New York. We won't be there, although we'd love to be, because we're preparing for this major announcement I alluded to. So I can't really announce?
No.
Damn. Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Damn it. All right, so stay tuned. I'm going to announce soon. I just can't this week, so damn it. Also about a week away, very cool offerings from all of you, for all of you, from Avid, from Berkeley Online, from Isotope. Dave's going to unpack the Ozone 7. It's going to be very cool. Stay tuned. All news you can use, and news and info and software you can get your hands on. So stay tuned for that. Imagine this: vocal producing, composing, all kinds of musical contributions to the likes of Michael Jackson, Gwen Stefani, Jennifer Lopez, and a ton more. He's a good friend of the show. We recently caught up with somebody you get to catch up with. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the desk, Mischke.
Mischke, man, what a pleasure to see you, buddy. It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yes, it
How's
has.
Donna?
Donna is great.
Tell her I send love. That's his manager. So when I was preparing for the show, I realized that I had a little bit of a gap about my knowledge of you. So from about 96 up to now, I got pretty good. But before that, your story is really fascinating. Your grandmother must have been a spectacular lady. Like you said that she actually would hear an Earth, Wind & Fire record, then send you home to study it and dissect it. And she owned a record store.
Yeah.
Dude, you had the most perfect childhood.
I had the perfect childhood.
This was in Europe, or was this?
It's in Detroit.
In Detroit.
So basically my grandmother's record store was located like in Music Mecca in Detroit. So 4 blocks one way was Motown Hitsville. 4 blocks the other way was Reverend C.L. Franklin's church.
Oh, wow.
So it was literally Music Mecca, and I grew up, but she had like this huge collection of like 45s, and it was she was selling CDs, but she still had all these old 45s and 78s in the basement, and every once in a while she would be like, did you ever hear that record? I remember there was a record by Stan Kenton. She made me go down and get this record and listen to it at home. And she had a 78 player at home. I would play the 78s. And it was the most out there record ever. And years later, I became really good friends with his son, Lance.
Wow.
And Lance, when I told him what the record, he was like, you gotta be kidding me. How'd she send you home with that? It's like my dad's most experimental record, but she was just the coolest. And she hated cussing. She hated anything that was kind of associated with sex. But But
she liked Sign of the Times.
She loved Sign of the Times. Sent me home with that. It's just like, she was a classic.
Hey man, like I said earlier, I've known this cat for a long time, and and you've got an amazing place where an artist can come and be really comfortable doing vocals. And part of that comfort that you provide for them is very close contact. So your control room, they were recording vocals in the control room. Take me through that process. Are you putting something out of phase so that you cancel out, or you just monitor it through headphones? Or?
We monitor through headphones. So we're both in the same room, but we're on headphones. It's a little different than it was back in the day. Now, back in the day it was just me and a desk. Now it's me and a Avid S6.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
it's much more pimpish, but it still sounds amazing.
What headphones do you use?
I use Sony. What are they? 75. The usual.
Okay. A lot of times, I rarely cut vocals, but recently I've been doing a little more. And that fear of the microscope, putting their voice under a microscope, and that tension that they get of, oh, this is going to be around forever. And that has a way of removing that. So I'm guessing you get performances, great performances, right?
I think because it is in one room, they feel more like, at home. It's not a scary thing where you put them in a booth. A lot of times, even when I'm at Henson, even though if we're in Studio A with a huge freaking live room, I always put them in the small booth to the side because it's just so much more intimate.
Oh, that's
when you put a
interesting.
person in a big room, they just freeze up. Even the best do that. The only one who didn't do that was Shaka Khan.
Wow.
So most people like to be in a small setting. So usually especially because a lot of the songs that I do at my home, we're writing those records at that same time.
Oh, okay.
So we'll write it and then I'll just throw them on the mic. And I've pretty good mic. It's a Sound Deluxe E47, which I freaking love.
Did you do like the last Michael thing you did there, Michael Jackson thing?
I didn't do that there. The last Michael I did up at Michael Prince's house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying, oh, wow, instead of cool. That's cool, right?
Yeah, that's really cool.
One of the things that I love about your music, your vocal productions and your productions in general is the emphasis on grabbing a performance, a unique performance in time. Not just a great performance, but a unique, great performance in a moment of time, a lot like a photo album when you went on vacation with your family. You catch those moments with the camera. They don't have to be perfect. They just got to show you how the vacation went, right?
Right.
And sometimes you'll choose the performance over the tuning.
Yeah, to me, I'm more a person I really am about moments. And, I feel like they're like Second Chance, Elder Bars.
Oh, that's one of my favorite. You're nominated for a Grammy for that. Did
Yes.
you win?
I didn't, but
sorry.
it was one of my favorite performances that I've ever captured, and that really kind of
great record.
came about from El's one of the most amazing players. Just his hands along with his voice are the freaking jam. But we basically had cut a song the day before, and I learned pretty quickly because he's just such an amazing player, just to always have something that he could play, and that track was always in record. So even if we were cutting vocals, there was always a piano track.
Oh, that's cool.
He went down and started playing this piece, and it was just the most haunting. It just drove me. There was something about it. So we'd finished recording. The next day he was coming to record another song, and he was supposed to be there at 1. He's Elder Bar, so he's always a little bit late. But I woke up probably like 10 a.m. I come down, I listened to this music, and I started writing this record. And it just kind of came out of me. When El got there, I asked him, I said, I'm not even sure this is something you want to talk about because, it's kind of a touchy subject. It's about, his life using drugs and, he had a lot of kids and he hadn't had a chance to spend enough time with them. And I was like, I don't even know if we want to talk about this, but if it's something you're interested in, I want to play it for you. So I played him the song. I played him first verse and a hook, and he was bawling. He was just crying his eyes out by the end of the
A lot of
end
people
of the first
cry
play.
around you. That's interesting.
It's a thing, So I after that, he said, I have this like a huge living room with this bubble chair. He's like, I'm gonna go sit in the bubble chair. You finish the song. If you need a bridge, I'm gonna come down and play it. So after that, we cut the song, And the performance that we cut at my place is the one that is nominated. Wow. So those vocals were cut at my house. And you've worked with Ron a million times, so Ron Fair, of course, called me.
That's right, I forgot Ron was involved
Yep.
in that.
Ron Fair called me, and he told me after he heard the song, loved the song, he's like, Mischke.
If I'd have mixed it, it would have won the Grammy.
I know. I know.
He said humbly.
I know. So Ron told me, he's like, Misch, how I do it over here, we're gonna try and beat that vocal. I'm like, you know what? I knew you can do it all you want. You're never gonna beat that vocal. Because he was crying while he was singing.
That's amazing. Just a Ron Fair footnote. Ron, I blowed my speakers up recently. Ron had me another pair here in like a couple of hours. I mean, what a sweet, dear friend. Tell me if this is wrong, because I'm going to stretch here. I grew up in and around the South, so in the South, our pocket's a little different than the rest of the world. And sometimes we would openly make fun of some of the records that were coming out of LA because we thought they were machines and like robots. Like, once you get perfect timing, you don't stop there, you move to feel. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it feels to me, pun intended, that a lot of the Motown records you grew up listening to have a similar feel to the Muscle Shoals, the American Recording in Memphis, all of those great Southern tracks in Atlanta. And I noticed that pocket is an integral part of your vocals and everything you do, but I noticed that a lot of the timing, like some of the stuff you did with J-Lo, she's not gifted with the Southern style pocket, but you kind of impose that on her vocal. Explain pocket to the guys that just don't understand quite what that is.
I mean, for me, pocket is so important in a performance. So pocket is basically where they fall on the beat. So, for some singers, a staccato performance, if it's da 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 da, that's really hard for some people. So for people like that, you kind of have to work with it. You kind of have to move it around a little bit and just to get that perfect feel. Because there are a lot of songs. I mean, you know Michelangelo.
Oh yeah.
There was a song I wrote with him years ago. First song I ever wrote with him, and he's very emotional. So, and of course he did cry. I sent him this record, and he starts crying. Because at this point of this record,
a lot of people cry around you.
At the point of this record, the pocket is so late, but it's 60 tracks of backgrounds doing the same exact thing, and it just creates this whole feel. So pitch is it's important, but to me, give me feel and a pocket that just makes me want to go
When you're writing. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. In order to become a better engineer, sometimes I do things that might on the surface, well, many times, don't seem to make sense. One of the things I recently started doing was reading books on songwriting so I could understand some of the techniques that songwriters use so that I can amplify those in my mixes. And now when I listen to a song, it's kind of screwed me up because I'm counting beats in the verses. I'm going one, and two, and two. When you sit down to write, are you cognizant of those metrics and those things, or you just write and it falls out naturally?
I usually write and it usually just falls out naturally. Usually I have a mic up on my S6. There's a producer desk section, and in the center I've got a mic that's just in front of me. So most of the people I work with send tracks. So they'll send a track, put the 2-track in Pro Tools, and just start singing. And usually the melody is the first thing to come. I start singing and sometimes whistling.
You whistle?
I mean, I whistle melodies when I'm
whistle something. That's the weirdest whistle. Aren't you supposed to do this kind of whistle? That's good. You whistled in tune.
Always do, baby.
I got melody. But you guys felt the timing on that. That was pretty special. No, it was. You got that feel, man. I just miss that feel sometimes. It feels to me like a lot of music nowadays, the verses will have like the ands emphasized. So 1 and 2 and 3, and then the B sections will create a little tension with it. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and then the cooks will come along to be like half notes and quarter notes and stuff like that. You don't ever think that way, or it just comes out naturally?
I don't really think that way anymore. I learned a long time ago when I first started writing. I used to come out here. I had a uncle who was big in TV back in those days. He was a producer. He produced and created the Martin show.
Really?
So, but he was
know
also a jazz pianist. So I used to come out and play my records, and he'd be like, "Oh, that sounds too much like this person. He was just the worst critic in the world." But it was great. And I remember when I finally moved out here, I came out. I think it was '98. Came out here, played.
I thought you came out earlier than that.
No,
I've only known you since '98.
You've actually known me shorter, because you probably met me in '99 or 2000. Because I came out here, played him my last set of demos, where he was just like, okay, you either got to move to New York or you got to move to LA. You figure out where you want to go, because you got to be where the gold is, and in music, the gold's there. So I moved out here, and let me tell you one story though.
Okay.
This is the craziest thing, because my career really didn't start from somebody recognizing off the bat, oh, he's an amazing writer. It actually happened by total chance. Harvey Mason Jr.,
Oh, yeah, I like Harvey.
at that time was part of Rodney Jerkins' camp.
Yeah, I remember.
He was part of Darkchild. They were at Record One, and they were doing Michael Jackson. And they needed someone who could hook Harvey's computer up, because back in those days, do you remember? This is something that you would know, because you're a nerd too.
Yeah.
Back in those days,
Proudly so.
I used to do I used to use Cubase, and I used to use Cubase on music, on vocals. It was like my first program, but I also used to do demos for Steinberg, NAMM, and at Frankfurt Music Messe. So I knew this program. Harvey was the only guy in music who, at that time, who was in urban, who was using Cubase. He wanted to sync Pro Tools and Cubase on the same computer, and you had to do it through I think it was the AIC bus on a Mac. It was like this quirky thing. I was the only person in LA who knew how to do it, apparently. So Jean-Marie called me over. He's like, "Can you hook this up?" I hooked it up. It took me 5 minutes, and after I was done, Jean-Marie was the nice one who said, "Yo, you should talk to Rodney and see whether you can give him a couple tracks, because he's a dope writer." I didn't do it. Jean-Marie did it.
Right.
And he asked him, gave me a CD with 3 tracks on it. I wrote to all 3, and 2 weeks later, I got a call from Rodney from Tommy Mottola's office.
For Michael?
From Rodney from Tommy Mottola's office, and it was all based on those 3 songs that I wrote with Harvey. And I was literally in Rodney's camp like 2 months later. But it all happened from tech. It didn't really start from...
You know what, that happens so many times. I try to teach my assistants to learn a lot of different skills, because one of my assistants just knew how to sync an SBX, what was that sync the Roland made, an SBX 80 or SBX something. Anyway, he knew how to sync that up to an MPC and get it all locked to SMPTE, and that's all he knew how to do. Well, that's not all he knew how to do, but that was one of the things he knew how to do, and he got a major album for that. Major album. He spent 28 weeks at #1 major album.
Wow.
And so sometimes social media, people think that that's the pathway to success, but it only opens the door. And if you don't have any skills to go through the door, you're wasting your time. And so that's kind of what you're saying. You had an opportunity, and you took it, and you turned it into a career. That's pretty impressive. You were born to be a writer, so forget what I'm about to ask you. But somebody coming along that wants to be a writer, where would they start?
I think you have to do your homework. And I really think that if you're a songwriter, you should listen to records. And you should listen to lots of records. It takes years to become an expert in anything. But if you're not really listening to music, listen to if what you want to do is top 40, then you should be listening to top 40 records, and you should be listening round the clock. When I started with the Michael record, Michael had someone who all he did was make CDs of the top 100 records for him, and he did that every single week, so that even the top guy in music at that time, he knew he needed to know what was out there.
I didn't know that.
For songwriters, you have to know what is hot, and you have to listen and dive in and figure out why is it that this song is such a hit. Every song, there's something in there that is just making it into what it is, and you have to be able to study and really know that. And I'm not saying that, I'm not hating on schools. It doesn't mean that you have to go to school to learn that, but you have to learn that.
That's deep. When you first started out, were the things you wrote really great, or did you just get better and better over like time?
I think I got better and better over time, and I think it's almost like you can call it God, you can call it whatever you want, but I think everything lined up at the right moment, because I've been writing. When I first moved to LA, I really only did track. I didn't really write lyrics. I only wrote track.
Wow.
And I would always send my tracks to somebody else to write the lyrics, then I would sing it. But at some point, one of my old buddies, Jimmy Thomas, who you remember back in the day, we lived in the same building. He was walking in with an MP in his shopping cart with he had like an old Korg keyboard. He was walking in, I was like, started a conversation. He gave me a track. I wrote to that song and had it to him the next day. And he was cutting it on his group, who I think were on Ruthless back in those days. Wow. And that was kind of the beginning of me really becoming strong at lyrics. But I kind of had done my homework from listening. I grew up in a record store, so all I did was hear the biggest urban records at that time, every single day, and blues and gospel. So it all kind of made, it's kind of funny because years after I finally met a couple of the guys from Earth, Wind & Fire, and I remember hearing one of these records one day and realizing there was a harmony missing in their record. It wasn't a harmony missing. It was just the harmony that I'd been singing all these years.
Wow.
So even though I didn't realize I was beginning to...
Wait a minute. So you made an Earth, Wind & Fire record better? Is that what you're saying?
Of course I did.
Oh. Get done on the phone for me. I think it would be kind of fun, actually, if at some point you guys could come over and watch me. Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Arrange a record. It doesn't mean that I have to vocal produce it with the singer, but even if you have some, one of your kids out there who has a freaking record that you just think is amazing.
Okay.
Get me a 2-track. Get me the vocals, and I'll
So
soup it
Mischke's number is 555-1212-6404 extension. Bite me. So
there you
go. Hit him up. Something that people don't tend to think about a lot, and I'm giving you a compliment, and I'm in no way trying to be negative, but one of the things I've noticed about you over the years is you always show up on time. If you need to have something written by a certain date, it's done. You're incredibly efficient. So labels hire you because they know they're going to get something great. They know they're going to get it on time, on budget. And I know you, so I know you don't turn your profession into a business, but you really keep the business side of your profession more tight than anybody I've ever worked with. I mean, your tracks are just perfect when I get them. You really, is that a conscious thing, or is that the way you were born, or?
Part of it is the way I was born. Part of it was growing up in the music business in Rodney's camp. Rodney was very about getting it done, and he didn't mean get it done half-assed. He meant get it done, make it hot, and make it something that when we hand it to you, it's something that kind of speaks to you from the beginning. You don't want you having to, fiddle for hours to figure out what the heck was this guy thinking. It's called the music business, for a reason. It's a business. So you have to be on your game, and for you to be late every session. There are tons of guys who are great at that, and they probably make a lot of money. But to be consistent and be in this business for many years, you have to have the business side of it together.
I agree. You ready for some batter's box?
I'll try and be ready. I don't know, man.
You'll be perfect, I know. So just one word, whatever comes to your mind. It's no right or wrong. Keep score. Preamp. And you can't say 1073.
Huh?
This is a 1073 free zone. No
1073
no
free
need
zone?
1073s.
Oh, I'm screwed.
Man, be inventive. Fly. Be free, man. Don't
free.
be tethered to the past.
Don't be tethered to the past. I don't know. Focusrite. What the hell is it called?
I said wrong. No wrong answer.
That's the
wrong answer. Plug-in.
Plug-in. I would have to go with Revoice 3.
Oh, I got to get up to speed on that plug-in.
You need that. Change your life.
I think I have it. Pitch.
Pitch. For what program do I use for pitch?
Yeah, whatever comes to mind. Like if you
Melodyne.
Oh, there's a headline right there. Reverb.
Reverb. Reverb.
Delay.
H delay.
Compressor.
Renaissance compressor.
On opto, on smooth, on warm.
Opto.
Where am I here? Okay. Your favorite old school vocalist?
Old school?
Mm-hmm. Like from the 60s and 70s?
Well, she would kill me, so I can't say that. I can't say her name because she'd be like, I wasn't born then. If I'm saying old school, we won't say 60s and 70s in case we're not going to get mad.
Okay.
Shaka Khan.
Oh, wow. What is it about her that, by the way, you won, so. What is it about Shaka that you find so special?
Dynamics. She without a doubt, like, and there's a new school singer who kind of has a lot of these qualities.
There's a few of them.
But this one, she is without a dime. She's one of these singers who can sing this sultry, soft, and within 2 seconds pop into this crazy, like, loud, explosive vocal that's
and
just...
she's little. She's only about that tall.
She's bigger than that, though. Yeah. To you she is, but you're tall.
It's all right. I love Shaka. I've worked with her. She's the best.
I love her.
She's like a machine, but with feel and emotion.
Oh
she has
my
everything.
gosh. And she knows. There's one thing about old school vocalists, and I would put on old school. I would put Chauncey Black. I would put El DeBarge. The old school vocalists, they've learned their craft. They know how to do what they're doing. There's no guessing game. There's no should I pull back on the mic? They know what they're doing, and it's like the first time I worked with Chauncey Black. Chauncey came to my house. He sings, and the crazy thing is, usually Donna is upstairs, and sometimes I'll be like, so what do you think? She'll be like, oh gosh, But this one, she was like, I couldn't hear him. What are you talking about? He sang? It's like, yeah. The most crazy control. So even when he's at the top of his range, it's not just this huge vocal. It's just the same as it is in the bottom of his range. It's just sweet.
Wow. That's so cool. Well, man, listen, thanks for spending some time with me. You took a lot of courage.
I'll spend time with you.
I had to save up to pay you for this for a long time, so thanks. And by the way, Donna gets a commission on that.
Exactly.
I'm going to wind up with this, guys. Sometimes I think that music isn't a choice that you make for your life. Sometimes it feels like you're born into it, and then sometimes it feels like you can become kind of nudged into it. So help me with this thought. I mean, if you're not born with this, should you quit? We know people that weren't necessarily born into this that are amazing.
We've known a lot of people who weren't born to be people who like. I'll tell you one thing. In this music business, to me, I would take intense drive over the most amazing talent in this business. Because the ones who have the most drive, those are the ones who really succeed. Mm-hmm. It's not always the guys with the most amazing talent, but if you can stick in there when everybody else says, nah, It's not going to happen. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, but if you're one of those guys who's willing to do his homework and just sticks in there, and it's always in people's faces, you have a much better chance of
100%.
making it than that great singer who is lazy.
And take us out with this, and if you don't know the answer, make something up. About how many songs do you have to write or produce to get one placement?
In some cases, it could be, 50.
People don't realize that, do they?
No, I mean, really, when I started, when I was with Windswept, I remember I had a commitment, and I just thought it was the funniest thing that they gave me. I had a commitment is when you have to deliver a certain amount of songs during your deal, and I consistently wrote probably 80, 90 songs every year, and I mean, full demoed out, perfect, place. You send it out and place it. One of the songs that got me in my deal is the song that got me out. It was Kylie Dean.
Oh, yeah.
And Kylie Dean, Who Will I Run To? That was in my Schedule A group of songs that I handed in. So to me, for some people, a commitment is just the dumbest idea because I'm going to give you as many records as a year is. For most people, you only get better. The more records you're writing, the better you get. If you're writing one song a month, it's going to take you forever to become great at it.
Well, you might not be a writer at that point. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me and my friend Mischke. I learned a lot today. I know you did too. And we'll see you next time.